Joe and Zach here with Monarch for another Monarch Minute, where they always go over a minute.
This week we'll be talking about the comparative gap and what we think about it.
So what is the comparative gap? Now fortunately, Zach and I have been able to be a part of a few different mastermind groups with an amazing business consultant, Mickey Quinn. You should definitely look her up if you haven't. And one of the parts that we've been able to look at are different gaps that prevent people from personal and business success. One of them being the comparative gap. Now, comparing yourself personally and in business to other people in your same field can be helpful, but if you let it prevent yourself from reaching success, then that's what you have, the comparative gap.
The comparative gap affects everyone, as you may know, including myself and the business. We often fall into the rut of comparing ourselves against top 100 digital marketing companies in the world, US, whatever it may be, and we're always trying to figure out how we can strive for more and be greater than them and be the best business. And in reality, we should be focused on our own business, personal growth, business growth, relationship with clients, but definitely harder than it sounds. So yeah, something we struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, not only can you get caught up spending time just comparing and looking at other businesses, but a lot of the times also it even prevents your own business or your own self from doing something you want to do. So for instance, even before we were thinking about putting out these videos and thinking, will people like them, will they be bad? Immediately you can find yourself looking at companies that have amazing ad budgets and saying, well, their videos are way better than ours, so we just shouldn't even start. And if we would have fallen into that, we would have never put these out, and that would be falling into the comparative gap. But there are a lot of positives of comparing, and there's a certain way to compare yourself to help benefit yourself. For example, with the videos and even how we've started doing this, we're able to look at how companies have done it and try and use things that have worked out for them and learn from that, but use it in a productive way.
I've always struggled with competition outwinning us, so I'm definitely driven by competition, and I think it makes business better overall. You can oftentimes see what your peers in terms of other marketing companies are doing and try and either scale that or do it better. Another thing, and Joe kind of reflected on this, that we see is that a lot of marketing companies will go out and spend a ton of money on research. We have the capability of using that research to best benefit us without those initial costs or time spent on that. And so that's a pretty awesome thing, because yeah, we'd love to be the one out researching, but at the end of the day, we focus on, okay, how can we best benefit our clients? And I think that's using the stuff that's already out there and growing on that.
There's already so much knowledge out there you can learn from first before you waste any time.
Oftentimes being young in the business world is definitely a hard thing to face, and so don't let that stop you from doing what you want to do, both personally and from a business perspective. It's oftentimes way easier to look at the next guy and say, hey, he's 40, he's already lived his life, developed his business, done this, and has made it, and you can't be there overnight. So yeah, just persevere through it all.
So not only can the comparative gap affect just our business lives, but it also affects our personal lives on a lot of different levels, and I think it affects a lot of other people's as well. For example, right now we're in an age group of people that are on so many different walks of life right now, and all of them are totally acceptable and normal in their own way. But I mean, at this point in our lives, you could be still going to school, you could be not in school, all the way up to having an entire family, house and kids, and you're in an age group where it's all sort of normal. So on a personal level, a lot of times we'll find ourselves comparing friends we went to college with, high school, people we meet our age group, and sometimes feeling bad because someone's done something before you have, or vice versa. And you got to be able to take that and turn it for a positive and feel positivity for these people, and humble yourself to ask them how they did it and provide your own. And it kind of wraps around in a way that using it for the overall good of everybody.
So at the end of the day, when you find yourself leaning into that comparative gap personally, really look back on what makes you happy and joyful. I think that oftentimes we talk about happiness short game, joyful's kind of long term, and so really figure out what makes you happy and joyful, and don't be afraid to go and do that, whatever that is. So if you're a marketing officer, don't compare yourself to a doctor. I think you're doing your own work, and that's awesome. And if day to day that's what you want to do, then just make sure that comparison doesn't prohibit you from achieving success.
So with all that being said, the comparative gap, being able to compare yourself personally to whether it's skiing, working out, the way you look, all the way to the business level of looking at businesses that potentially have been doing it longer than you. Try to make sure that you don't use that to hold yourself back, but you are able to turn it into a positive motivation and maybe learn a little bit from them as well. Heads up, before you leave, we saw the polls on Instagram for who would win an arm wrestling competition between Zach and I. The results were relatively close. We're going to turn it into an actual competition where Zach and I will each pick a charity that we would like to donate $100 to on Monarch, and whoever wins the competition will get to have their charity donated to. So stay tuned, and we'll make sure we keep people informed on our story as well as the next few videos coming out the next week. Thanks.